Port Charles is buzzing. Word on the street, or rather, online soap opera grapevine, is that a contract has leaked indicating Chad Duell could be coming back to General Hospital at the end of the year as Michael Corinthus, or at least in some capacity. This is big. Duell embodied Michael for nearly 15 years. His exit earlier in 2025 left a huge hole. His role was recast with Rory Gibson stepping into the character. People.com +2 Wikipedia +2. Now, with speculation mounting that Duell may return, the question is this for real, and if so, how, and to what end? And what does this do to the current storyline, especially around Michael, Willow, Drew Kane, the custody battles, and the big moral or ethical conflicts now unfolding in Port Charles? Below is a breakdown of what this return leak might mean, from motivations to story ramifications to possible pitfalls, and ultimately, what could unfold if Chad Duell again steps into the world of Port Charles. Before we get into speculation, let's anchor ourselves in what is actually confirmed or credible. Chad Duell announced his departure after many years playing Michael Corinthus. His exit took place earlier in 2025. The role has been recast. Rory Gibson took over in May 2025. There are storylines currently centering around Michael or Willow, Drew or custody battles or trauma. According to rumors or interviews, Duell has expressed interest in returning to daytime drama under the right circumstances. Celebrating the soaps +1. One article notes that anything's possible. Chad could even come back to GH in a new role. Celebrating the soaps. There's at least one video rumor post referencing contract leaked. Chad Duell returning to GH at the end of the year. The claim exists in social media rumor spaces. Typically, these are unconfirmed, but they spark interest and speculation among fans. Willow Tate's legal troubles may escalate to trial. Celeb Dirty Laundry +2 celebrating the soaps +2. Michael, now Rory Gibson, is pushing hard in that conflict. General Hospital T. The character's arc is moral, legal, emotional, fertile ground for drama. These facts give us the foundation. From here, we can build a what-if scenario. What if Chad's return is real? How could GH make it work, on screen? And how could it shake up storylines in the months ahead? Before diving into story ideas, let's ask, would it make sense, for the show, for the actor, for character motivations, for Chad Duell to return? Here are several reasons it could work. After 14+ years as Michael, Chad Duell is deeply connected with the audience. Bringing him back, even briefly, generates huge fan interest, buzz, and ratings potential. It's a nostalgia draw, especially as current storylines dust off legacies, family legacies, and betrayals. The current arc with Willow's trial, the custody battle, and moral judgment requires emotional gravitas. A return by Duell could deliver sudden resonance, the original Michael stepping in during a crisis. Perhaps the emotional stakes are too high to trust a recast in a critical moment, in universe. That tension might be exploited by the writers. Based on interviews or rumors, Chad hasn't closed the door. He might entertain GH again under the right role or storyline. If scheduling allows, he might be open to a short-term return rather than a full-time rehire. Soap operas have a long tradition of ambiguous leaks, contract negotiations, surprise cameos. Even if a leaked contract is unauthorized or unconfirmed, it gives artists or writers a chance to stir speculation. It might be a teaser tactic or a placeholder for a coming special event. GH could handle Duell's return in more than one way: flashback, alternate version, dream hallucination, ghost after-death thematic in soap tropes, or even a new character using faces or identity, or, less likely, replacing the current actor again temporarily. Writers might build a twist where Duell's Michael is returning, but not exactly restoring the old version, maybe bridging into something supernatural or symbolic. Given that, the rumor, however unconfirmed, could be more than clickbait. It has enough internal logic to be plausible, especially for a show that thrives on legacy, shock returns, and character-driven emotional dynamics. If Chad Duell does return at the end of the year, there are several ways GH might weave it into the story. Below are a few speculative scenarios, each with advantages, risks, and dramatic potential. Duell appears as Michael Corinthus, briefly, perhaps in flashbacks, dreams, or a discontinuous timeline device, e.g. confronting his past self before a major trial. His return is symbolic. His face appears to Rory Gibson's Michael in a crisis moment, e.g. right before or during Willow's trial. It could be a hallucination, guilt-induced vision, or emotional anchor. Duell might appear in a few episodes around late-year sweeps, e.g. November-December, before fading out again. Delivers a powerful emotional punch without fully undoing the recast. Allows Chad Duell to cameo without long-term commitment. Gives fans a chance to reconcile old Michael with current Michael during a high-stakes moment, e.g. trial verdict, custody hearing, or confrontation with Drew. Cons or risks. Risk confusing viewers who expect the same character continuity. Could undermine Rory Gibson's version if the cameo overshadows the recast. Needs careful scripting to avoid token nostalgia rather than meaningful story. Duell's appearance could manifest as Michael's internal moral conflict. Why did I leave? What have I lost? What burdens of guilt and identity remain? He might deliver a monologue or confrontation with Willow or Drew Kane, in vision form, about integrity, sacrifice, or parental custody. Could catalyze major turning point in the trial, e.g. Michael decides to turn over critical evidence, or withdraws a legal strategy because he hears his own conscience in Duell's voice. How it works. At the end of the year, GH surprises viewers. Chad Duell is back in the Michael Corinthus role full-time, or at least long-term. Possibly the show explains this via a storyline twist, identity confusion, surgical face change, memory loss, or a plot device. Perhaps Michael was presumed dead or badly injured and undergoes reconstruction, or a retcon. Rory Gibson is written out temporarily or permanently, or transitions to another character, less likely. Much fan excitement. Restores the original actor in a signature role. Allows long-time story threads tied to Chad Duell's version of Michael to reopen or deepen. Risk backlash from recasting twice in a single year. Logistical or contractual complications, both for actor and production. Challenges in continuity. How to explain the switch back convincingly in universe. This could become a major October to December plot twist. Michael returns to Port Charles with new memories, perhaps after healing from his fire or explosion injuries. Perhaps an off-camera period in Germany, or elsewhere, allows for change, heal, and off-screen recovery, making it plausible he looks different, acts differently, but then shifts again. Could tie into unresolved guilt about Willow or custody or Drew, and position Duell's Michael as someone seeking redemption differently from Gibson's Michael. Might lead to new alliances, betrayals, or even a showdown with his father Sonny or other family members who haven't fully accepted the moral path Michael is pursuing. How it works. Rather than reassume the exact role of Michael, Duell returns in a surprising twist, perhaps as a lookalike, a twin, or as a ghost memory projection secret clone, soap opera tropes. Alternatively, he could come back as a new character whose identity is tied to Michael's past, e.g. unknown sibling, imposter, or someone impersonating Michael for legal underworld machinations. Avoids messing with the recast continuity too directly. Offers a twist. Viewers see Chad's face again, but story explains why he looks like Michael yet is different. Opens up new plot possibilities. Betrayal, mistaken identity, legal battle to prove which Michael is true. Runs the risk of looking gimmicky. Requires strong writing to avoid feeling contrived. Might confuse or alienate viewers who prefer clean character identity. Suppose Duell plays Michael's ghost or recurring hallucination during Michael's psychological breakdown, Willow trial looming, custody stress, moral fatigue. Or Duell could play a stranger who looks exactly like Michael, creating doubt in custody proceedings. Which Michael is right? Which testimony is valid? Which identity is legally binding? Alternatively, the twist character could reveal hidden trauma, something Michael suppressed, a memory fragment, a secret portion of his history that only Duell version knows. If Chad Duell does return in one of the ways above, the ripple effects on GH's current plot threads would be massive. Let's explore how his return could reshape or escalate the existing storylines. Heightened emotional contrast. Duell's return could underline the stakes in Willow's trial by forcing Michael to confront the past version of himself, the one Willow once loved, trusted. That confrontation might shake his resolve. Does he pursue legal rigor, or show empathy? Evidence and testimony twist. Perhaps Duell's Michael, real or illusion, reminds current Michael about something overlooked, a piece of evidence, a memory, or moral obligation. That could shift the trajectory of the trial mid-hearing. Custody judgment shift. If the court sees Michael's internal conflict, or is shown doubt via flashback or alternate testimony, the judge or jury might view Michael's case differently. Perhaps Willow has a slim window to argue her own motives, or a surprise rebuttal appears because Duell version intervenes, in flashback or confession. Drew Kane currently is Michael's adversary in many respects. A return of dual version Michael could reopen long-simmering issues: paternity, loyalty, betrayal. For example, Duell could re-encounter Drew in a vision or memory sequence reminding both characters of old allegiances or promises. That could spark new conflict. Did Drew expect the old Michael to return? Is Drew unsettled by the change? Or Duell's appearance may trigger guilt or distrust in Drew's tactics, particularly if Michael begins to question how much Drew manipulated events in his absence. Michael's father, Sonny, might react strongly to a return of Duell's Michael, especially if Sonny felt emotionally abandoned by Michael's exit earlier in the year. A return by Duell could rekindle that father-son drama: trust, legacy, mob versus morality conflicts. Perhaps Sonny clings to memories of how Duell's Michael confronted choices differently than the current version. That could ripple out to broader Corinthos family stakes: trust, business, mob illegal, and moral culpability. One of the most potent uses of Duell's return would be to externalize Michael's internal battle. Is he the man he once was? Is he the man he needs to be now? If Duell's Michael represents old moral compass, his return, real or imagined, could push current Michael, Gibson, toward either redemption or collapse. It could lead to a storyline arc late 2025 into early 2026 where Michael is forced to reckon with who am I now versus who I was. That juxtaposition could fuel a redemption journey or a descent into crisis. On a meta level, Duell's return could be used by the show to regain some audience trust after a recast. Recasts are always risky. Bringing back the original actor, even temporarily, gives GH a way to validate or re-anchor the character in fan memories. It might also serve as a ratings bump during key sweeps months, e.g. November or December. In addition, GH might use Chad Duell's return to advertise special event episodes, crossovers, guest appearances, or milestone episodes, e.g. a trial verdict, a death threat, or a cliffhanger New Year's Eve episode. Of course, for all the creative excitement, there are also pitfalls. Here's what could go wrong, or at least complicate things, if GH actually pursues this return Chad Duell plan. Some viewers may feel cheated if Chad returns temporarily, only to vanish again. They may see it as a gimmick rather than meaningful storytelling. Others might reject the recast entirely if the show appears to reverse it. Duell may not want a full-time return. Availability may be limited. That restricts how many episodes or how long. Negotiating pay, storyline credit, and actor commitments could be tricky mid-season. If Duell's Michael returns in place of Gibson's Michael, the show must come up with a credible in-world reason. Identity swap, memory loss, or physical injury device would need convincing writing. Rory Gibson may feel undermined if the original actor returns, both in universe and in fan perception. The writers would need to balance spotlighting Duell's return without undermining Gibson's established work. Is the return meant as a one-off cameo? Or is it a longer arc? If short-term, the payoff must be satisfying. If long-term, the show must commit resources and wrap follow-up threads into 2026 and beyond. To bring this all together, here's a hypothetical storyline outline. Imagining that Chad Duell does return as Michael Corinthos in December 2025 in a temporary but pivotal arc. Willow's arraignment preliminary hearing intensifies. Tension builds, new evidence surfaces. Michael, Gibson, is rattled by guilt and doubt. Flashback teasers begin, legal team. Writers tease that Michael's memory might be incomplete, or that past actions have consequences he doesn't fully recall. Rumor begins within GH, in-universe or via cliffhanger preview. Michael begins hearing familiar voices, dreams, or visions. Subtle cameos where, in his mind's eye, he reconnects with his former self. A surprise cameo. Chad Duell appears as Michael Corinthos in a dream-vision confrontation scene. Perhaps triggered by a legal motion during Willow's trial, e.g. court order to produce old voice recordings, or expert psychologist testifies about memory trauma. That appearance shakes Michael. He confronts Drew Kane in court hallway or in memory sequence. You always judged me for the decisions I made back then. Would you accept what I've become now? Michael confesses privately to someone, maybe Sonny or Alexis, that he feels disconnected from who he used to be. He uses the apparition of vision of Duell version Michael to justify either softening his legal strategy or sharing a piece of evidence he was withholding. This confession shifts Willow's case, perhaps pressuring the judge to grant new testimony or forcing the jury's sympathies. Duell's Michael returns one last time in a dramatic final scene of the year, possibly in a montage or symbolic meeting, e.g. in a hospital wing while current Michael is sedated or recovering from injuries, or while Michael visits the scene of his past trauma. The episode closes on a powerful voiceover or monologue by Duell version Michael about sacrifice, identity, and the future of his family, Willow, Wiley, Amelia, leaving open threads that carry into early 2026. Following Duell's cameo arc, Michael embarks on a renewed character path, more introspective, less driven by legal aggression, more open to redemption or reconciliation with Willow. The custody battle may settle or shift direction. Maybe Willow gains partial concession. Maybe Michael revisits his relationship with Drew, Sonny, or Alexis in light of what he rediscovered during his internal confrontation. The show teases the possibility of more appearances, flashbacks, or dream sequences, or even the possibility that Duell could return again in a long-term capacity. If the rumor is real and Chad Duell does return to General Hospital at the end of the year, it's a bold move. It has the potential to bridge past and present, to shake up long-running emotional arcs, and to deliver a memorable moment in Port Charles history. But to succeed, GH would need to use that return with intention, not just as a stunt, but as an integral piece of Michael Corinthus's journey. Whether it becomes a cameo, a full recast reversal, or a twist character arc, the dramatic payoff must align with the moral, familial, and legal stakes that currently define his storyline. For now, all of this remains speculative. The contract leak hasn't been officially confirmed. But if you're a GH fan watching Michael or Willow or Drew or Sonny storylines, you'd want to keep your eyes on December, because if Duell is coming back, it may be the turning point that reshapes everything Michael thought he knew about himself.